Now at 9, we'll take you to the 65th Truman Day celebration. Plus, dog lovers and their furry friends gear up for the 4th annual Fast and Furriest Run and celebration.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Anthony Saviello. First responders in Neosho responded to a crash of a car traveling at excessive speed. The vehicle was traveling east on Iris Road and could not navigate the turn to NN. It flipped an unknown amount of times. The 4 occupants are all from Nebraska. 2 of them were ejected. All of the occupants suffered injuries and were transported to Mercy Hospital in Joplin and Freeman West Hospital in Joplin. Witnesses say the car was traveling over 100 miles per hour. Meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney joins us with a first look at our weather.
Well, we had some storms this morning, but we have cleared out. We're looking pretty good for the beginning half of the evening, but we do have some storms rolling in after midnight tonight, closer to about 2 a.m. Temperatures across the region now dipping down into the 50s, 56 in Iola, 59 in the 8th Center. The rest of us in the mid to lower 60s. We still have a flood watch issued for our counties out in Oklahoma and Arkansas. That's in effect until Sunday at 7 p.m. We do have a lot of rain moving in tonight and early tomorrow morning. That'll be pushing in about 2, 3 in the morning. We're not expecting any severe threat, but we are expecting widespread thunder showers throughout the remainder of the day, clearing late afternoon. Now I'll have more details for you in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. As we enter warmer weather, many people find themselves spending more time outdoors, especially on bikes. KOAM's Samantha Walker has more on how the Joplin Police Department is helping riders stay safe on the road.
Like many kids, Grayson Wimsett loves riding his bike. So much so that he's ridden it to school every day this year.
I just like the freedom of being to move around wherever you want.
But Grayson also knows that there are steps kids like him have to take to be safe on the road, such as wearing a helmet.
So everybody can have an enjoyable time on a bike.
For the first time, the Joplin Police Department held a bike safety event where families could come and learn how to try to stay safe on the road.
You know, bicycle safety is huge in the warmer months because there's so many things that we have to be prepared for, such as cars or abrupt stops or anything that we might have to navigate around while riding the bikes. And as families start to get educated on different safety aspects, we can hopefully ensure that we've got safe riders on the roadways.
The event featured helmet giveaways and an obstacle course for riders to learn how to make difficult turns and follow a path. Several local organizations also joined in the event to help promote safety on the road. Blues Bike Company helped by performing safety checks on bikes to make sure they were safe to ride.
It makes you feel awesome, knowing that you're setting them up for success and pushing them in the right direction to be thoughtful about safety.
And even some of the young but experienced riders are happy to give advice to the next generation of bike riders as they take to the streets.
Wear a helmet and don't do wheelies. Because if you do a wheelie in the 5-year-old age, yeah. I already did a wheelie once, but not safe. Not safe. I almost fell over.
Reporting in Joplin, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
The Joplin Police Department also encourages drivers to be aware as the amount of bikers increases in the summer months. The Kentucky Derby found its way to Missouri today. The Alliance of Southwest Missouri held its annual Kentucky Derby-style fundraiser. Attendees chose to pony up for a good cause at the event, which features simulated races and betting, as well as a live stream of the actual Derby. Guests were encouraged to dress to the nines, but they could also build their own fancy accessories at the Churchill Crowns Hat Bar. Proceeds from the event support the Alliance of Southwest Missouri, who is celebrating years of supporting area children and families this year. The 65th annual Truman Day celebration was held today in Lamar, Missouri. The celebration honors former President Harry S. Truman, who was born in Lamar. The birthplace is now a historic site. Those who attended were able to visit a multitude of vendors as well as tour the house that President Truman was born in. Today's celebration also had live music and a reenactment put on by the Lamar High School Theater Program.
We're always every year trying to do something new to keep everybody coming back to the birthplace. Several times people will come just to see the house. They may have been here several times, but they just really like to step back in history in the 1880s and see what it was like to live during that time when the Trumans were here in Lamar.
The celebration was held from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and was free of charge for all those who attended. Pet lovers and owners went for a little run this morning in Joplin as the 4th annual Fast and Furriest Run kicked off. The 5K run kicked off at 8 a.m. this morning, and the fastest male and female dogs were both given awards, as well as the top 3 finishers overall and the fastest male and female human in each age group.
So this event is a great way to promote relationships with pets and their families. It also gives them an opportunity to get them out in the public so everybody can see what amazing pets that have not only come from the shelter but are in homes already.
There was also a 1-mile fuzzy fun walk that kicked off at 9 a.m. for those just looking to get out and moving. A woman is alive in Missouri thanks to a Benton County deputy. He ran into high water to save her during this week's flooding. Marina Silva spoke with the deputy today about the tense rescue.
It was just after midnight on Monday morning when a woman was driving through here, but the water was too high and she ended up getting stuck. That's when a Benton County deputy was called out here and actually swam into the water to save her.
I could still hear her screaming help, and but I wasn't able to see her. I could just hear her, and she sounded closer than what I thought.
Even though he could only hear her screams, Deputy Marcus Burns got into the water.
I took my vest off and my duty belt to free up some weight and put the life vest on, and my goal was to walk out as far as I could until I started to swim and hopefully see her or get eyes on and see where she was. So I went ahead and went out there, and I could feel the current starting to pick me up, so I stopped right there. And
Deputy Burns spotted her clinging to a tree. He had to convince her to just let go.
After talking her into it and getting her off the tree and just letting go, she eventually did. The current took her to me, and I grabbed a hold of her. At that point, the water, it was approximately 4 or 5 feet deep. You know, it was up to my chest.
EMS was able to check the woman out. She is okay. Benton County Sheriff Eric Knox says anyone on his staff would do this, and he's proud of Deputy Burns.
These guys, even though some of them are the same age as me, they're kind of like my family, my children, you know, but we'd all do the same thing.
Deputy Burns says he would do it again.
I didn't want the last thing for her to see is guys just standing on dry ground. You know, I wanted her to see somebody trying to get her, so that's what I did.
With these low water crossings, it can get dangerous really fast. Even 6 inches of water could be pretty dangerous. The best rule of thumb is turn around, don't drown.
Sheriff Eric Knox says it doesn't surprise him one of his deputies would do this. Deputy Burns said he would do it again in a heartbeat. Up next, how to deal with a mosquito problem before it starts. More rain is on the way after several inches fell across the region this last week, and that means pests like mosquitoes will breed quickly in standing water. Mosquitoes can lay their eggs in as little as 1/4 of an inch of water and can lay hundreds of eggs at a time, which is why you need to do this if you have anything holding water in your yard. This is the most effective way to eliminate mosquitoes from reproducing. But as Nicolette Zangara reports, there are other measures you can take.
Alleviate any kind of standing water, you know, whether that be bird baths or old tires or an old swimming pool or anything like that. That's the main thing that we really need to focus on, or the residents need to focus on, to help with our mosquito abatement efforts.
Some types of mosquitoes only need a bottle cap worth of water to lay eggs. The CDC reports the entire life cycle from an egg to an adult only takes 8 to 10 days. This means we'll be swatting and scratching soon, unless you decide to spruce up your green space with plants mosquitoes hate.
There's the citronella, which is a very common, it's actually a scented geranium, and you've seen your citronella candles, so we actually have the plant. Another very popular one is lemongrass. That's really good for your mosquito repellent. A lot of your herbs are good for mosquito repellents, especially the scented, like the lemon kind. So you could do a lemon thyme, or a lemon basil or lemon thyme, or just a regular sweet basil would work. Your sages work well.
Hansen also recommends lantana and marigolds as they tolerate the summer heat. Unless it's something water-loving like lemongrass, place pots of these plants near water retention areas to avoid root rot. The good news is the effects are almost instant.
Even if you don't have it planted just here in the pot, you're going to start to see the effects of it pretty soon.
Some cities spray a repellent late at night this time of year to only impact bugs like mosquitoes. While that can help, the first step is stopping their rapid reproduction. The bird flu threat may be easing up on U.S. dairy products. The Food and Drug Administration recently tested nearly 300 products from grocery stores and said no active strain of the virus was detected. In an earlier FDA test of 96 samples, roughly 20% had remnants of the H5N1 virus. FDA officials are also looking at samples of raw and cooked ground beef. This comes following a bird flu outbreak which has affected dozens of dairy cows in 9 states. The majority of the infected cattle were in Texas. However, other states affected include Kansas, Idaho, Ohio, and Colorado. President Biden announces around 100,000 immigrants are expected to enroll in Obamacare in 2025 under a newly released rule. The rule lets any person a part of a deferred action for childhood arrivals enroll in a health plan with the Affordable Care Act. The ruling may make Biden more popular to Latino voters, but it has received pushback from conservatives regarding his migrant and border policies. There are around 580,000 people enrolled in the DACA program. One issue Democrats face is hoping they will gain the support of young voters in a new policy on marijuana. The Biden administration wants to ease federal restrictions on cannabis for the first time in half a century. Fox News senior congressional correspondent Chad Pergram takes a look.
College conflagrations, splitting Democrats. But the party has high expectations that less restrictive cannabis rules could grow support among youths.
It will help our country close the book once and for all on the awful and harmful and failed war on drugs.
Republicans say this is bald politics as Democrats potentially hemorrhage votes.
I put this in the same category as proclaiming that you're going to forgive student loans. This is an appeal to younger voters.
But Schumer and other liberals are also pushing legislation to decriminalize cannabis at the federal level and expunge records of those with low-grade marijuana offenses.
I've seen the tears on people's eyes, that it's like economic shackles, being anchors, being released.
Republicans say it's all about November.
This is an election year. You're going to hear all kind of wild ideas from the Democrats.
Pew Research found that 88% of Americans believe marijuana should be legal for medicinal or recreational purposes. But there's concern about public safety.
Here we have Chuck Schumer basically lowering the barriers for gateway drugs like marijuana. And it's going to damage the society even further.
Young people could embrace the policy changes, but some older voters hope cannabis might serve as alternative medicine for pain and cancer. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Lindsay is next with a complete look at the forecast, and later, one entertainment giant looks to buy out another.
Well, we did start off today a little rocky with some storms early in the morning, but we cleared up. And let's take a look outside at downtown Joplin from the Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. Looking pretty good out there, a little bit breezy. We do have some clouds as well starting to move in as we have storms rolling in early tomorrow morning. As of right now, nothing has made its way in yet. It's a lot of ground clutter from those radars, but we're not seeing any rain yet. That starts to come in around 2, 3 in the morning. We do have a flood watch and still some flood warnings around our few counties as well. But as you can see, we've got those storms pushing in still south in Texas. Will be making its way into our area a little bit later, but we're not expecting any severe threat with that system. We are going to see some thunder showers, but widespread rain, maybe some localized flooding as well, especially with all of our flooding that we've seen the past week. But our risk for tomorrow is very low. Now, the next threat we're looking at will be on Monday. We have an enhanced risk for our counties out in Kansas and Oklahoma, and an elevated risk for the rest of us. So we're going to keep an eye on those storms on Monday, but we're taking a future look at the track for the storms moving in tomorrow. So about 4:30 is when they're starting to push in. A little bit later, they're tracking moving in later. We do have some spots of heavier rain, maybe some thunderstorms in there, but like I said, nothing too severe. It's going to be widespread as it moves into our area, pushing in to the central counties. And then that threat's going to go down pretty significantly. So we'll have some widespread showers across the area throughout most of the day. This is about 1:30 p.m. Still, most of us getting a lot of heavy rain. It starts to move out later in the afternoon around 6, 7 o'clock. Then we'll have a nice break before we start to see some more rain move in on Monday. So let's take a look at that track on Monday. So by 8 p.m. we have a line of storm forming ahead of the dry line moving in. That's going to be pushing in as early as 8, closer to 9, 9:30. As it moves in, right behind it is that dry line. So more storms will spark up on the dry line. And as those storms continue to move into our area, this threat would be more severe. We're seeing large hail, damaging winds, and not to mention tornadoes are also a threat for these storms on Monday. They'll continue in well into the overnight hours after midnight, but will be clearing by about 7 a.m. on Tuesday, so you won't have to worry about that for getting ready on your Tuesday. But we do have that alert day set for Monday, as we see those storms could be pretty severe, strong to severe storms, and we're going to keep an eye on those storms and continue to alert as we get a little bit closer to that event. So we've got some storms still sticking around Tuesday morning. Wednesday, a cold front moves through, so we'll have another round of strong to severe thunderstorm threat on Wednesday, and then we're clear for a couple of days.
Gonna have to keep an eye on those storms, though.
Yes, we will, definitely.
All right. Thanks, Lindsay. April's tornado count in the United States is now the second highest in the month on record. According to the National Weather Service, the U.S. had at least 300 tornadoes in April. On average, there are 182 tornadoes reported during the month. So far, 2024's first violent tornado was an EF4 that struck in Oklahoma on April 27th. Dozens of tornadoes also touched down in the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and into the Mid-Atlantic, more so than in the South. During the last week of April, more than 100 tornadoes were reported. Coming up, Fox Means Business.
How Goldilocks led to a fairy tale ending for stocks this week. I'm David Asman with the Fox Business Network. More coming up.
Job growth may be slowing, but it's not stopping the markets. Fox Business Network's David Asman has this story and more on tonight's Fox Means Business.
Jobs growth is slowing. The government says the U.S. economy added 175,000 jobs in April. That was much less than analysts were expecting and a lot fewer than the 315,000 jobs created the previous month. Stocks rallying Friday on the heels of this employment news. Many analysts are calling it a Goldilocks report, meaning not too hot, not too cold. The hope is it will encourage the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates sooner rather than later. And Friday's rally helped push the markets into positive territory for the week. The Dow finished in the green for the third week in a row. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ were up for the second straight time. And finally, gas prices are idling as we head into the weekend. AAA says the national average cost for regular is now $3.66 a gallon. That's the same as last week. However, when compared to a month ago, drivers are paying 12 cents more. That's business. I'm David Asman.
The country's biggest electric vehicle maker pulls the plug on helping some college students for the summer. Reports say Tesla has cut in summer internship offers. Many of the comments were coming on LinkedIn profiles this week by prospective interns saying they were losing summer internships with Tesla. The developments come with college end of school years and graduations approaching. The company's annual report says Tesla usually gives out about 6,000 internships throughout the year. The Biden administration is giving an injection of incentives into buying electric vehicles by offering new tax credits. The Treasury Department announced new credits and EV battery rules to allow for automakers to comply on source minerals. The credits range from $3,750 to $7,500. Used EVs and hybrids can also qualify for credits, but the new exemptions are being criticized by some groups like the National Mining Association and Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, who see time extensions in some mineral allowances as aiding China resources and not protecting jobs and securing supply chains. One entertainment giant makes a bid to buy another major player and offers big dollars for it. A Forbes.com report says Sony Pictures and financial partner Apollo Global Management have bid $26 billion to buy Paramount Global. Paramount's properties include Paramount Pictures, the Paramount Network, BET, MTV, and CBS. A previous bid by Apollo of $27 billion for Paramount was not considered. It's not clear what the buy offer would currently change in properties if accepted. Up next, turtles are on the move. We'll tell you how to keep them and yourself safe. With the warming temperatures, reptiles like turtles and snakes are being seen more often across the Ozarks and crossing roadways. Here's Nicolette Zangara on keeping the turtles and yourself safe.
Because if you put them on the same side that they're coming from, they may simply just try to cross again. So helping them along their way towards their destination can be more helpful to them.
While turtles can be domesticated, Dr. Day Ligon does not recommend it. Not only can turtles carry diseases, but they won't live the life they were meant to.
That animal might survive for many years in captivity, although more commonly they don't survive as long in captivity as they do in the wild. But even if they do survive for a long time, they're not fulfilling any ecological role. So they're not interacting with other members of their species.
Snakes are also seen more often this time of year. If you're out hiking, it's best to stay on the path and keep a close eye for passerbys.
They will travel from one area to another, so you might find one stretched out across the path. But I would say staying on the path is going to let you see where you're going and potentially avoid one a lot better.
Many native species are not venomous, but if you're not sure, it's best to act as if it is venomous.
But most of the time, when you come across a snake, if it's got the metabolism and energy and is out and active, it's going to try to avoid you. It's going to try to get away. So don't corner them if you can, and just view from afar, take a picture. Don't try to go catch them.
Snakes are mostly docile unless provoked to defend themselves. Give snakes plenty of room to escape and keep pets on a leash in case they try to investigate. If you or your pet is bitten, try to get a description of the snake and call 911. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. We'll have the latest on testimonies from the Donald Trump hush money trial up next. Friday brought more riveting testimony in former President Trump's hush money trial in New York City. This time, one of his former staffers taking the stand, taking jurors inside Trump's campaign as it managed damage control from a number of bombshells that dropped late in his 2016 campaign. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has more.
Hope Hicks broke down in tears at one point as she testified before her former boss Friday. Hicks, who worked for Fox Corporation for a time as well, laid out what the Trump campaign went through after they first learned about that infamous Access Hollywood tape back in October 2016. She described how the campaign scrambled to respond to the contents, which she said were a damaging development. This testimony is key for prosecutors trying to make the case that the fallout from the tape fueled Trump's team to try and squash more negative stories about his alleged affairs.
I think the prosecution made headway in all these witnesses just by showing that President Trump wanted to make sure that these stories didn't get out.
But Hicks also mentioned former President Trump was concerned about what his family would think. Hicks testified he even asked for newspapers not to be delivered to their homes, saying Trump didn't want anyone to be hurt or embarrassed by anything that was happening on the campaign. And she criticized Michael Cohen, whom she says would go rogue and do things that were frustrating to campaign staff. She says he used to like to call himself Mr. Fix-It, but it was only because he first broke it. Cohen is expected to be a key witness in the case. Today, Trump is back in Palm Beach, Florida. He's headlining the RNC Spring Donor Retreat, mingling with wealthy donors and possible running mates as he once again slams the trial for keeping him off the campaign trail.
We're in a courthouse instead of being in Georgia. We're in a courthouse instead of being in any one of I would say 10 states where I'd like to be right now.
Trump says he won't make a decision about a VP until closer to the Republican National Convention in July. In Washington, Mather Rivera, Fox News.
Israel's military says its forces have killed 5 Palestinian militants in the occupied West Bank. Authorities in Palestine say the 5 were killed by Israeli fire during an overnight raid about 4 miles northeast of the city of Tal Karum. It's the latest violent incident in the West Bank since the conflict between Israel and Hamas began in October. Palestinian health officials say over 480 Palestinians have been killed in the West Bank by the Israeli military since the war broke out. People gather inside Jerusalem's Holy Sepulchre Church to be a part of the yearly Holy Fire ceremony. In the celebrated Eastern Orthodox event, a flame brought from Jesus' tomb is used to light believers' candles. The church moves from a dark hall to the radiant spectacle as the candles in attendees' hands light up the entire space, signifying the resurrection of Jesus. The annual event happens the Saturday before Orthodox Easter. The fire has been guarded for hundreds of years. Still ahead, a zebra is caught on camera after a week on the run.
Well, we've had some storms this morning, but we did clear out. We ended up with a pretty nice day today outside. Let's take a look at the downtown Joplin from Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. Pretty nice, but we do have those clouds starting to roll in, and it's a bit breezier as well. We don't see any rain in the area yet. All of this little blue-green mess is ground clutter from the radar, but we're not seeing any rain moving into our area yet. We do still have a flood risk for our Oklahoma and Arkansas counties, not to mention a few flood warnings as well. Now we're tracking a system that's moving in, still just now making its way into Oklahoma from Texas. We're not expecting any severe threat, but we are expecting some heavy rainfall, which could lead to localized flooding as it moves in. But we have a very low threat for any type of severe weather tomorrow, but we are going to have those widespread showers all day long, and some areas could see some really heavy rainfall, not to mention some thunder as well. But what we're really focused on is on Monday, we've got that enhanced risk for severe weather in our Kansas and Oklahoma counties. The rest of us out in Missouri, we're going to see that elevated risk for severe storms. Now, we are going to expect all the severe threats for Monday, but let's take a look at what we're going to see tomorrow morning. So about 4:30 in the morning, we'll start to see that rain push into the area. Like I said, maybe some spots of thunderstorms, but very low severe threat for anything that will be moving in. As it continues in, Sunday morning, 7 a.m., we're going to start to see that widespread heavy rainfall across all of our counties. So we're going to see that 10 a.m. starting to continue to push through those central counties and Joplin. And this is 1:30 in the afternoon. So all day long, we're going to be seeing the rainfall, and that's mostly getting our central counties moving off to the east, still getting some light rainfall out in those western counties, Parsons, Yates Center, but it'll continue off to the east by early to mid-afternoon, around 5, 6 o'clock, starting to continue to push off. 8:39, we're nearly clear. We do see a few more light showers still sticking around after that, but we are going to clear up for most of the day on Monday until Monday evening. So about 8 p.m. we start to see a line push through ahead of the dry line. It's going to bring some strong to severe thunderstorms along with this line, and then right behind it, that dry line pushes through. We could see those storms spark back up along the dry line. Like I said, strong to severe threat with all of these thunderstorms. We're going to see damaging winds, large hail, and even tornadoes are a threat as well. So continuing on that trend, we have an unsettled weather pattern. We've got those storms sticking around early Tuesday morning, and then a cold front pushes through Wednesday. So we've got another threat for severe weather on Wednesday.
We'll have to keep an eye on it.
Yes, we definitely will.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. Coming up in sports, we have a photo finish at the 150th Kentucky Derby, plus Missouri Southern baseball looks to advance to Pittsburgh next weekend. Brock Baldridge has those stories and more coming up.
The Missouri Southern Lions began their postseason journey on Friday night with a big win in the first game of round 1 of the MIAA tournament. Now Southern can advance to next weekend in Pittsburgh with a win on Saturday. Well, here we go from Warren Turner Field. The Bearcats beat Southern in the regular season series, so the Lions are looking for revenge. We pick things up in the 5th inning. Lions trail 3-0, and Will Doherty gets Southern on the board with an RBI single. That makes it a 3-1 game. Next batter to the plate is Garrett Rice, and he hammers this baseball into the gap as it bounces off of the turf and hits the fence. That allows 2 runs to score. It's an RBI double, and now it's a 3-3 game. Rice is fired up. Later in the inning, Southern leads 4-3. The local kid from Webb City, Tragan Parker, puts another run on the board with an RBI single. MSSU extends their lead 5-3. Lions finish the inning by scoring 5 runs in the 5th. So we go to the 6th inning now. Drew Townsend elevates this baseball. Outfielder is out of room, and it's out of here for a solo home run. Lions go on to win the game 10-4 as they eliminate Northwest. Southern advances to the semifinals round next weekend. Well, across state lines in Pittsburgh, the Gorillas are hosting Rogers State, and they too sweep their series. The Gorillas win this game 6-1 as they advance to the semifinal round. Austin Warkins, Hayden Dyer, and Nixon Brandon all homer in this game. Well, Pitt State softball continues to enter uncharted territories. The Gorillas have already won their first conference title since 1994, and now Pitt State plays in the MIAA Tournament Championship for the first time since 1995. So the Gorillas look to make history again, but they come up just short as this game goes into extra innings. Rogers State wins the MIAA Championship 2-1 off of a walk-off base hit. The Hillcats are MIAA Tournament champs, so the Gorillas will have to wait and see where they are seated in the Division II National Tournament next week. The St. Louis Cardinals have had a rough month of April. However, the schedule starts to lighten up as the Redbirds are 6-4 in their last 10, and the Cardinals return home to Busch Stadium this weekend. Well, St. Louis is back at it, taking on the other team from the Windy City, not their typical foes. 5th inning, Nolan Arenado belts this ball deep into the outfield bleachers for a souvenir. A 3-run home run gives the Cards a 5-3 lead. In the 6th inning now, same score. Corey Lee hits this ball sharply into center field. That scores 2 more runs, and the White Sox tie the game up with a 2-run single. So it's now 5-5, and we go into extra innings. Still tied when the former Cardinal Tommy Pham gives the White Sox the lead right here, the RBI single to left field. Chicago now leads 6-5, and not long after that, well, the sky opens up. We entered what would be a 3-hour rain delay. The tarp is on the field, and well, after the delay, we play on. Bases are loaded, game-tying run at third, but home plate umpire C.B. Buckner reams up Ivan Herrera. Egregious call to end that game. White Sox win it 6-5. Well, in Louisville, it's the 150th edition of the Kentucky Derby from Churchill Downs, and the crowd watches the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. Well, here they come down the stretch. Mystic Dan is in the lead, but here comes Sierra Leone and Forever Young, and it's a too close to call race. A photo finish at the Derby, and take another look at the replay. They determine after the review that Mystic Dan with an 18-1 odds wins by an eyelash, and he is your winner in this year's annual Kentucky Derby.
Well, that's just too close to call. That was incredible. That's fun to watch.
Photo finish, I mean, the Kentucky Derby, it got down toward the end, and, they literally had to use inch by inch, frame by frame, but, Mystic Dan, he comes away with the win, so congrats to him.
If you and I were to race, I feel like that would be a photo finish as well, too.
Well, we'll have to check it out.
Well, yeah, we'll have to. Next newscast probably is when that one happened. Exactly. All right, thanks, Brock. We'll be right back. A zebra's nearly week-long time on the run in Washington has come to an end. The mare was one of 4 zebras that had escaped from a trailer off Interstate 90 near North Bend last Sunday. The other 3 were captured within a few hours, but the 4th zebra, named Shug, remained on the loose. Officials say Shug was finally found Friday evening in Riverbend, which is about 30 miles from Seattle. The zebra appeared to be in good condition and will be transported to Montana, which is where the zebras were headed before they made their great escape. Up next, we'll have a special announcement, plus we'll meet some piglets born at the Nashville Zoo. for us here on the KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
But before you go, we have a fun announcement for our audience. Anthony here has been filling in on our weekend show, and it's been a lot of fun working with him. And it is super exciting. I get to announce that Anthony has accepted the position as our full-time weekend anchor, so he will be around from here on out. We'll be continuing to work with him.
Very excited. It's been awesome working with you.
It has been a lot of fun. I'm glad you're around.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You, Brock, the whole weekend team, Cody, all those guys. It's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. And our audience, you guys are great. But that about wraps it up for us here from all of us here at KOAM. Have a great night.